Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of DCU Daily. And today we have got lots to talk about. As always, we've got news from Joker, Fall Ya Do, Lady Gaga releasing a companion album. Today is your last day to go check out the Superman Christopher Reeve story in a movie theater. It also happens to be Christopher Reeve's birthday, and I'm sure there was no coincidence. I mean, behind that, it's definitely something that they planned out. And good on DC for making that happen for the Reeves family. So we're gonna get into that. We have to talk about the Penguin viewership. We now have numbers for just how successful and popular the premiere of the Penguin was, and of course, a new episode drops in 4 days. So we're looking forward to that as well. And we have to talk about even more than that. Of course, Supergirl now has cast the second person on his cast, the second lead, if you will, the villain of the movie. We talked about it yesterday. We're going to quickly touch upon it again today. If you guys missed the show yesterday, of course, Millie Alcock is going to be our Supergirl as well. So we have the two leads of the movie, and we have even more than that, beyond it. And of course, we're going to get into your comments, and to do that and so much more, as always, of course, I've got with me John. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. I'm a little tie, but outside of that, I'm good. I am good.
Good, good. All right. Well, you know what? Let's dive into it right now. The first story that I wanted to get into was this right here on the screen, Legend of Kingdom Come. It's the Alex Ross documentary that is now taking flight, as you can see there from DC Film News, mentioning that this is now available for you guys to help fund on Kickstarter as of today. So head on over and onto Kickstarter, search for the Legend of Kingdom Come, and you can pitch in some and become an investor essentially. John, do you know what this movie is about? Can you give us a better idea of what we can expect from this documentary? Of course, Alex
Yeah,
Ross is one of the most well-known names in the world of comics. But what is this documentary specifically going to give us?
it's pretty much a behind the scenes of how the story of Kingdom Come came to be, as well as looking into Alex Ross as an artist as well. So it's a little bit of both, where it's about how he kind of became an artist, but then he managed to do the art for one of, if not the most recognizable and arguably best DC story of all time. So that is essentially uh what this is about. And it's definitely exciting. There was a trailer that came out I think a couple months ago, and there's plenty of interviews. I think Mark Wade, who wrote it, is in there, and then and then a bunch of other, I think Jim Lee is in there somewhere, which would make sense, and a couple others. And yeah, it's definitely a very intriguing look into such, an exemplary story. And I think, yeah, so the link is there. It's it's DC Film News. You could back the project. You could kind of see the link right there. But yeah, I would say go back it. I might go back it. Usually I don't back Kickstarters that much, but I might in this case because this looks really fucking awesome. And yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. And usually I say I'm not a documentary guy, but like have found that in recent memory, like I feel like I'm liking documentaries a little bit more and more. I mean, I'm gonna be seeing the Superman Christopher Reeve story today, so that's definitely exciting. And so yeah, this is another banger DC project in terms of a documentary. So I'm really stoked for that.
Yeah, and John, I have a question for you. Right, you talked about Christopher Reeve's story, the Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, which is
Hmm.
of course in theaters today. It's your last chance to go see it. They released it a few days ago. There were a set of screenings. There's a set of screenings today. Today is also Christopher Reeve's birthday. But that documentary, much like The Legend of Kingdom Come, was not something that was like sanctioned and officially funded by DC Studios from the get-go. DC Studios acquired it, and then of course they've put their entire might of their um, marketing machine, everything behind it. It gave it a big premiere. James Gunn and Peter Safran were there. David Cornswet, the new Superman was there. So of course the whole Reeves family was there. So do you think that could be the same kind of treatment that this gets, considering how much James Gunn loves the art of Kingdom Come and uses Alex Ross's work as a big inspiration for the DCU. Would you want to see the Legend of Kingdom Come potentially get that DC Studios treatment as well? And do you think it is possible even that will happen?
I think so. Yeah, so I think that this is definitely an important story to tell. So many people love, Alex Ross. He's just a legend because he it's almost like he does more than just comic book art. He just does like just really well made art. Not saying like, other like there's plenty of great like comic book artists, but it feels like you could like sell his stuff in like a you could like put his stuff in like a museum in terms of Alex Ross. And yeah, you can you know, uh right here, bam.
That's
And
the
they
page.
already
That's the
it's
Kickstarter.
there's 29 days to go, but they already made their $50,000 goal and it's at 200. So if you want to, you can, but I mean, they don't need your help, but if you want to help, you can, because that is holy shit. I mean, that's not surprising. It shouldn't be surprising. It's still damn, it's still going up. All right, so yeah, so if you want to back it, here it is. But clearly they don't need it. But if you want to, by all means. Uh, so yeah, do it, guys. I would
Absolutely.
say so.
Support the documentary, and I really do hope that this is one of those projects that comes across James Gunn's desk. If it hasn't already, we know that the DC Film News account that we were showing earlier, James Gunn, keeps an eye on that account. He follows them, so I'm sure this has come across his desk already. He's aware of it in some way, shape, or form, and there might be an official endorsement or sign off on this. Of course, they're offering you a lot in exchange for your support for this project. As you can tell, you'll get some iconic, art from Alex Ross if you were to, buy into the project, and whether that's
I think I'm
Blu-ray
gonna like empty
posters.
my bank account for
It's
this
it's
because
just
like I
it
fucking want all of
like all of that.
this.
Like there's just so much. Like you're just going down the list, and I'm like, wait, it just keeps going. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Like,
There's
yeah,
so
okay, so
much
yeah,
here.
here are the people that are, Alex Ross, obviously, and Mark Waid, obviously, then Todd
Yeah.
McFarlane, Bill Sienkiewicz, Paul Dini, Amanda Connor, Sal Albananti, Brian Paluto,
Hey, there's
Julie
there
Benson,
Julie Benson. That's your
um,
that's the
Shauna
writer of
Benson.
the Birds of Prey movie that you like to. A TV show was it? I forget which.
Uh,
Is that the one that
I think it's a comic Batgirl
the
Bird,
comic? The
right?
comic, yeah.
Jimmy Palmiotti and Gene Haas. So yeah, these are, and it's all about this. You have, Brandon Routh as Kingdom Come
Mhm.
Superman. Yeah, so it's like it's really showcasing the importance of this story and the importance of Alex Ross as an artist. So, like goddamn, like if you want everything, you got to pay $1,000 like to get like the art, the signed poster, the Blu-ray. Fuck, I'm bro. Or you can plus 6 months of collector's boxes from the Alex Ross collection. Yeah, so I think they have like a
I think it's good value. I will say that it's good
um
value for sure.
yeah, so like you can like guys, if you have like an extra $2,000 like in the bank and you're like, I don't need this. Like I can like miss rent for a month. It's fine. And then I'll just pay for this. So yeah. This definitely looks like a very, intriguing documentary, and I'm really, excited for it. It looks pretty great. So yeah.
Temple is like, I love Kingdom Come, but $1,000 is crazy. Well, look, it's not like you can only pay $1,000. There's tiers to
Yeah,
this.
there's different
Like
levels of rewards.
there's
Like,
you can
yeah.
whichever level you can afford, and again, you don't even have to do this. It's, of course, they've made their goal. You can show your support by just spreading the word of
You could
mouth,
just
and
pledge $1. Like
up
you
to
don't even
dollar.
have to.
That's yeah, exactly. It's
If you
you
have
could
a
start with
dollar, do
just a
it.
dollar. Yeah, or even if you can't spare a dollar, then you could just spread the word. Just talk to other people about it, and of course they've already hit their goal and like quadrupled their goal. So you can see they're getting great support. And if you can't afford to do it, then of course, yeah, you have multiple tiers at which you can support this project. And yeah, like I said, I hope that James Gunn and the folks over at DC Studios can get involved in some way. It looks like the creators here have access to clearly a lot of Alex Ross's work. They've got a plan in place for a Blu-ray release, which is not cheap, even in 2024 when people are going to digital and there's fewer and fewer Blu-ray releases. It's not cheap to make that happen. You have to go through a lot of work and effort to put together a release
I might get
schedule
the.
and
I think
get
I'm
it
gonna get the Emerald
distribution.
edition. Like
Yeah.
honestly,
So
this is looking good.
I mean, I might splurge the full grand, even if it is just to get John for you a few of those things like the posters and stuff, so you can hang them up on your wall. But
I have no.
I'll
I'm gonna fucking make room.
you're gonna have to, because I'm sure you're gonna be like it can't just sit rolled
I'll
up
take
in
the
your
Beatles
bedroom,
poster down. I'll do that. So
Oh, JB in the chat. Hello, JB. DC loves doing them documentaries recently. Yes, Temple, they do. And then Temple saying, "Oh, the timing works for me since it's an appropriate hour for me." Finally, yeah. I know we're usually live later in the day, guys, but we have to be live a little bit earlier today because I have a long drive ahead of me today. And John, more importantly, is going to be watching Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, in movie theaters. So
yeah,
now Temple has a question: are they going to be dropping this Alex Ross documentary on HBO Max as well?
I don't
I
know.
don't. This isn't currently affiliated with DC officially, as far as I can
No,
tell. But this is where we were talking about how James Gunn, much like he took note of Superman, that documentary wasn't, when it was first started, it wasn't officially affiliated with with DC proper. But they took it under their wing, and obviously they've given it a platform. So hopefully that could be the same treatment this gets. But as of right now, it doesn't look like this is going to be on Max or playing on HBO. So if you guys want to, you can become a backer of this project on Kickstarter, and then that's your way to access the movie, the Blu-ray disc, and however you can get access to the documentary.
I
Whether
believe you can
yeah,
get the blue. Hang on. I think you can get digital film access for about $30, which is a little expensive, but um, yeah. So sorry, but I mean, if you have $30, I mean, there you go. You can get the digital film access, but yeah.
yeah. Jay's like lucky guy. I'm like, okay, because I'm gonna drop $1,000 so John can have a few posters on his wall. I mean, I'm a generous person. Like that's how it
Yeah.
is. John just got pre-ordered that popcorn bucket, like the Batman popcorn bucket. That's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be that's something he's gonna get comped for work. So um,
I just got a new guitar and I'm making this video as a tax write-off.
tax write-off, yeah. But did you see that? By the way, Temple's gonna the DC has Sonic comic book announcement.
I
I mean,
don't care
DC does
about
so many
Sonic that much. I
crossovers.
mean, I'll
It's
watch. I'm okay. The only thing
it's
Sonic I'm excited for is the movie Sonic 3. I'm excited for that. I don't really care about Sonic outside of that. So
yeah.
sorry.
Well, I that new trailer has got me intrigued, at least, because we all love Jim Carrey, and when you can get two of him in the same movie, like that's, come on now. Although Jim Carrey could be an acquired taste for some people. Now, speaking of, well, actually, sorry, did I? There we go. Speaking of DC, as we do on DCU Daily, let's talk about Supergirl again. We did have this long conversation yesterday, so I just wanted to quickly kind of review, because if you guys missed the show yesterday, or if you haven't heard the news, let's kind of quickly touch upon the new casting that we have got for Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Of course, we knew Millie Alcock was going to be playing, Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, in the new movie, in the new DCU, but of course, we now also know that Matthias Schoenaerts, if I'm getting it right now. His last name is a little hard to pronounce, but Matthias Schoenaerts is going to be. Now, this is not confirmed. DC Film News makes it seem like it is, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is, because if you look at the comic book artwork and when you look at Matthias, I can see it, but it looks like he's going to be playing the villain of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and that, according, if you have read Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, the comic book,
Mm-hmm.
that villain is Crumb of the Yellow Hills, who kills Supergirl's father, and so it's like a revenge tale. And so that's the news in regard to just a new casting for this movie. They are currently in pre-production. They're planning on starting to film in January in the UK, and the movie is set for June 2026 release, June 26th 2026 release to be exact. So it's less than 2 years away, and they're clearly picking up the pace on the casting front. John, have you, now that you've kind of sat with this news for a day, you didn't? It was kind of difficult to kind of like gauge initial reactions because Matthias isn't really a household name, but he's an Emmy winner. His most recent big project was Rust and Bone, and he's been in multiple different TV series, kind of like Kyle Chandler, a character actor in some ways, flies under the radar, but he delivers fantastic performances whenever he's asked to do so. And he was in that Kate Winslet show, The Regime on HBO. So now that you've kind of sat with the news for a day, John, do you have any differing opinions, or are you excited now to see Matthias going to join the cast alongside Millie Alcock? And do you think that they could have good screen chemistry? Because again, a lot of comic book movies are defined not just by their heroes, but by the quality of the villains. Like we all
Yeah.
remember Heath Ledger's Joker, Josh Brolin's Thanos, because they were so iconic, and they really gave the heroes a run for their money, and also forced those heroes to kind of test their own sense of moral compass. So how do you see this news now that it's been a day that you've been sitting with it?
I think he'll do a good job. I think Millie Alcock will do a good job. So I still have my reservations about this. I don't love the director. I mean, he's done a couple good movies. The ones I've seen him from are kind of not great. Um, but I'm I'm intrigued again. As I said yesterday, I want this to be good because I think Supergirl deserves a good movie. I just hope Anna Naguera can actually, make sense of Tom King's shitty writing and actually make it good. Um, and I hope Craig Gillespie gives us something that's like a proper vision, because he doesn't seem like a visionary filmmaker. He just kind of seems like a hireable guy. But let's hope that this will be like, okay, I've done all these crappy Disney movies and one great Oscar winning movie. I'm gonna actually create a vision now. So let's hope that okay, just because something gets a fucking sequel doesn't make it good. Hello. House of the Dead got a sequel. Come on.
I will say that Cruella movie is, in my opinion, a little underrated. Now, John and I, we don't agree on this,
I
but I did
tried to
think
watch it and I'm just like, this is just Joker, but with a woman and not nearly
I
as good.
I think it's. I personally think there's a bit more nuance to that than I think what you're saying is a bit of an oversimplification. But movies are subjective. So if you might hate a movie that I love and vice versa, that's totally fine. But hey, Craig Gillespie, he does have a resume. He's worked on big studio films before. So this wouldn't be his first venture into a big studio picture where he's got a huge crew, a big budget and high expectations. So stepping into this director's chair for Supergirl, a franchise that deserves a proper adaptation for the big screen. Now he's got his two leads with Millie Alcock as Supergirl and Matthias Schoenaerts, and hopefully Krem of the Yellow Hills. As far as where Lobo's gonna fit into this picture, we don't know yet. We don't even know if Lobo's gonna be in the
I
movie or
hope
not.
he's in there, but I
But
understand why they
yeah,
wouldn't put him in there.
they might want to give him his own project. Like that could be where that could be where things are. Lex, by the way, in the chat saying if you go to Millie Alcock's IMDb, she's credited for being in Superman with David Cornsweet. That is
That's
interesting, but
here's the thing. IMDb can be edited by users just like
anybody,
Wikipedia.
it's like
So
Wikipedia,
I
exactly.
understand that they have a board
Yeah,
of people that make sure to the changes are okay, but like, you know, there have been some things with sorry, not Wikipedia, it's with IMDb where they're like, "Oh yeah, this person is this character." And that's not always, or this person is part of this project. That's
yeah,
not always the case. So
yeah.
yeah,
What
it's
I would say with IMDb, like you said, John, is before a project comes out, look at everything on IMDb with a grain of salt as far as who's attached to it. Once it's officially released, then things become a little more reliable because it's much easier to kind of cross-reference who's actually involved in the picture or not. You can just look at the movie's credits. You can go to the website, and there's no reason for the marketing team to hide anybody who's involved in the project, right? But up until the movie comes out, IMDb is not really the most reliable place for this. I would
mm,
just wait until the movie's out. And you know what? Even if she is in there, then fantastic. I would love to see Supergirl make a cameo in the Superman movie. It would make sense. They're cousins. They should meet at least, eventually in the DCU, and I'm sure they will. So I'm looking forward to it, John.
Yeah. I
And
mean, I remember
it's a good
you're
start to the casting.
I remember
Yeah.
years ago, like somebody made like on the Legend of Zelda IMDb page, they made like Epona, Link's horse was voiced by 50 Cent. Like you know, like it could that like the only thing that like has maybe a little bit of credit to that is like James Gunn specifically cast her. And so and that unless it's like a cover up and Craig Gillespie actually cast her, that's the only like thing because it's like, okay, why would another director cast a character if it's not in her own movie?
Right.
Even though
Yeah.
he is the head honcho, he's it seems like he's very director heavy. So that's the
Yeah.
only thing. I don't and it's not an IMDb thing. It's a okay, clearly this guy is like director visionary heavy. So let's um it's a little
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
that's the
And
only thing that's, like, giving me, like, that kind of vibe, like, "Oh, Millie Alcock is in Superman purely on the
it's
grounds because James Gunn cast her."
there was speculation when we first got the casting news that, and that's where Lex probably got it from, that, I think it was in Deadline or the Hollywood Reporter. They were talking about there's a possibility she might be in a different DC project before Supergirl. So, and Superman would make the most sense to be that first project. And again, of course, if he or if she does show up in the movie, then that'd be fantastic. I can't wait to see what the costume looks like. And it would be a good, be a good surprise. And even if isn't in her Supergirl costume, I would still love to see how Supergirl kind of plays into the world of this new DCU. Of course, Temple saying I can't wait for the Superman film, but is anyone else worried that the movie has too many characters? We did talk about this. I mean, we're not going to get into this right now because we have so many other things to get into. But Temple, it is something that people have been concerned with, but I don't think it's something to worry about because ultimately, you look at any movie, you look at The Dark Knight. I mean, if you look at the cast of The Dark Knight on IMDb, considered by many people the greatest comic book movie of all time, and you're like, oh my god, you go 20 names in and you're like, this looks like it's too crowded. But when you watch the movie, it doesn't feel that way. And it's everything to do with how
Yeah.
a director and a storyteller and how the crew and the people behind the movie handle and how they pace things out. We have all seen the Avengers movies, and if you haven't, then you have heard about them. There's at least 6 Avengers in every Avengers movie, and by the time they got to Endgame, there were like 50. Did it feel crowded? For most people, it did not. And DC, of course, has done Justice League. Did it feel crowded? For a lot of people, it didn't. And so even for the people who didn't like the movie, I wouldn't say that the Zack Snyder Justice League movies looked or felt crowded. They had a ton of characters. They will, and it's just not every character is going to need the same amount of screen time. We talked about it. Superman was on set every day in Cleveland, and he's the lead of the movie. So he gets the most screen time. Everybody else will sort of like fall into
Yeah.
the,
It's like
the
saying like,
hierarchy,
"Oh
as it
my
were.
god, Sal Maroni is in this, Commissioner
Yeah.
Gordon." That's like like in terms of like Dark Knight having a lot of characters. It's like, Commissioner Gordon's in
Yeah.
this, Maroni's in this, Joker is in this, David Dastmalchian, whoever that fucking character was, he's in this. Oh my god, there's too many people. It's like, stop.
Yeah.
I was kind of bleeding into Pete Holmes a little bit right there, but yeah.
Yeah. And JB
There's
saying
too
not too many
many.
characters.
There's too many cast members in this movie.
Yeah, and then also Temple saying, "Yeah, you all are making a good point with Superman. We shall see how, I suppose how it goes, and hope it's great." Yeah, exactly. We agree. And then Temple with another good question that I'd like to quickly address before again we continue on because we have so much more to get into, guys. But you're asking Temple. Sorry for repeating the question, and you don't have to apologize. Saying Titans is that movie confirmed or was it just a leak? I
It
will
was
say this:
confirmed.
it was confirmed in the sense that we know that Ana Noguera is for sure writing a script for Titans.
But they also
It's not
said that
greenlit though.
oh, what's her
It's not
name?
greenlit
Ava
yet.
DuVernay was directing New Gods and Tom King was writing the
Right,
script and look what happened with that. So
right.
it could
But
get
that was a
canceled
different
fine.
era of DC, right? Like, and
Yeah,
but what I
but
will
even
say,
then, mm,
ultimately, yes, but ultimately, as far as we know, officially, we got a report a few months ago that Ana Noguera, the same person who wrote the Supergirl movie, she's writing on a Teen Titans film. We know she's writing a live action Teen Titans movie, so we know that that is happening. What does not mean is that that movie is definitely happening because if they look at the script and say this sucks, we're gonna go in a different direction, or if plans change, then it could get shelved. But as of right now, we know that they're working on a script. It will still need to be looked at by James Gunn and Peter Safran and the hierarchy over at DC Studios, and they'll have to give it the green light, and then they'll have to hire a director, and then of course they'll have to cast for it. All of those steps are yet to be had. All we know for sure right now is they're writing a script. Anna Niguera is working on it. She's already produced a script that they have loved for Supergirl. So you've got, somebody here who James Gunn trusts. So hopefully that means we'll get a Teen Titans movie. They don't have any dates for it. They haven't said that this is officially happening. The report wasn't addressed by James Gunn. It was something that one of the outlets like Deadline.com, I believe, reported it. And so, until it becomes a little more concrete and they say, yes, this has been greenlit, all we can say is they're working on a script, and that's about it. But yeah, good question. Always, you guys are welcome to ask these questions and we'll address them the best that we can. So with that said, John, there is this really big show from DC currently in release. The Penguin has opened up, according to reports now, to 5.3 million viewers across all platforms in its first 4 days. The show released on a Thursday, so this means they're counting Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Of course, today we're sitting here on a Wednesday, so it's they take a few days to kind of gather these numbers. There's not only just this number. I will also look at this other number here. So this is the number for Sama TV. Sama TV, basically, if you have a smart television, you might be able to go into settings, and there's a setting where you can turn on the Sama TV audience metrics measurement on and off. Basically, for most televisions today, most smart TVs, it's there by default, and you can turn it off if you want to. But it kind of measures, or just it kind of keeps an eye on what you're watching, and it's kind of like the Nielsen TV ratings, right? Because the way the Nielsen TV ratings work is they have this device hooked into like a few 100,000 people across the country, not the actual millions of people. Like they don't have it literally in every household, but they can extrapolate the data based on what those 100,000 people, let's say, are watching, and then they say, oh, that means this is the rating. That's how the TV rating systems work. Samba TV is similar, except it's built right into your actual television, smart television, and that's how they get their data. So they're saying that 3.2 million domestic views were had for the Penguin in its first 4 days of release, which is fantastic. 3.2 million views in the US, according to Samba TV. And then when you look at the numbers for all platforms, that means whether you watched it on Max, you watched it on HBO, on your television, or you streamed it, or you watched it on any other streaming service in any part of the world where they don't have Max, because Max isn't available everywhere in the world. So you might be watching it on a Netflix or an Amazon Prime, wherever you're getting this show, wherever you are in the world. The Penguin got 5.3 million views across all platforms in its first 4 days. John, this equates to HBO's best premiere, its highest rated premiere since The Last of Us. And if it puts it even above the final season, the final season premiere of Succession, which drew 4.9 million views, and the second season premiere of The White Lotus, which drew 4.1 million views. Now it does fall a little bit behind True Detective's the newest season, True Detective Night Country, which nabbed 5.7. But 0.4 is, you're in the neighborhood. You're in the neighborhood. So that's a huge number. What do you think about this? Again, at a time when Disney Plus has had mixed results with their Marvel shows, and of course Agatha all along is doing well by all measures.
Yeah.
The Penguin definitely feels like it's the better and the bigger of the two shows. What is your reaction to these numbers?
I mean, I don't trust the pilot's numbers. I don't trust the first episode's numbers, because that's usually more often than not the highest it gets. Like I remember when, again, going back to Doctor Who, like when Jodie Whittaker became the Doctor, like her first episode was like 10 million people, and then like it dropped off to 7 million, and by the end of the season it was like 4 million. So it that can drop off. So I don't know, I don't totally like it's exciting, yes, but I don't trust a first episode's numbers, because they usually get lower as time goes on. So
Well,
I hope
they don't have
it
to
stays
though.
steady. I hope it stays
Yeah.
steady, and I hope it like keeps those numbers. And with it being HBO and not like a weird fucking niche British television series, hopefully it can keep those numbers steady, and we can keep like in the 5 million, 4 million kind of range. So I hope that that's the case because it was a very good show and I want it to do well. So we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, and then Antonio Baker rightfully pointing out that Chris Mundy he worked on True Detective Night Country, so now he's working on Lanterns. So and
Yeah. And
that
I heard
show,
Night
I mean,
Country was terrible. So we'll see how
yeah.
that turned out.
Yep, yep. And then Temple, of course, complimenting how DC Studios already getting the W's. I mean, DC Studios is getting W's across the board, whether it's the Penguin, what they're doing with the DCU, of course, even with Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, which we're going to talk about. So it's just great to see that there's so many people give the show a chance. And according to Jake Kelly, it's already the GOAT of comic book shows. I personally, want to wait to give it that particular judgment. I will say though, that first episode was better than pretty much any first episode to a comic book show that I've seen in a long time. And I think the last time I enjoyed a first episode of a comic book show more was probably the first uh, Miss Marvel or WandaVision. I had fun with the first Peacemaker episode as well. There's some like wild twists in that one. Um, Temple is like, I will never forgive someone if they said they pirated the show. Hey, I mean, yeah, we do not support piracy. Please, try to support the show through legal means because that's again, we're talking about ratings.
Yes.
They can't tell if you're watching
Don't
this
do anything
on
illegal,
from
guys.
Pirate Bay.
Do it legally.
I'm
Don't.
just saying it's John. Come on, we both have Max accounts. We
Yes.
pay for them, of course.
I'm
But
just saying, like,
it,
if you
yeah,
can't, if you really can't, then
yeah,
do whatever you have to do. Now, my lawyers are telling me it's don't do anything in regards to piracy or illegality, but I'm just saying do whatever you have to do. I don't know what that means. I'm just saying that. I'm just throwing that out there. Just do whatever you have to do. That's all I'm
yeah,
saying. I don't mean
yeah,
anything in regards to that in terms of illegal means. I'm just saying do whatever you have to do.
yeah.
That's a low bar.
Uh huh. Uh huh. Well, they do recommend it. If you're watching this on Mac, they'll be like, "Oh, you want to watch something similar?" And Gotham show, and the Batman. I actually was watching the Batman yesterday because I was like, you know what, I want to put this on. I've been having a rough couple of days because in my personal life things are going on, and I was just like, I want to watch a movie to kind of like get away from it all. And I just put on the Batman, and it just it's music to the soul when you see that Batmobile revving up its engines, and I've got like a big sound system, so it's literally music for the soul when you got that whole car chase sequence. But anyway, yeah, Antonio making a good point with HBO. If the show starts off high, they tend to stay high with the ratings. That's a good point. And John, you mentioned earlier that it may start off high but drop off. That depends on again the quality of the show. People vote with their viewership, and that's what this show is ultimately gonna have to do. It's gonna have to withstand that test of quality, and if people like it, they will stick around. If people don't like it, they won't stick around. We all saw that, what was it? I think most recently, The Acolyte, right? The Acolyte got canceled after one season on Disney Plus
Yeah,
and the reason
because
they,
it
they said
sucked.
was it started out really high and then the viewership completely
Like by the
nosedived
third episode,
and
it just
it just
tanked.
tanked. Like more than half the audience was gone. And then there was a bit of a spike for the season finale, or I guess now the series finale, but people weren't watching because people didn't like it, and that was obvious in the numbers. I mean,
No,
where
don't
you
you
look,
know, Dan?
it's
They're all racist. That's what it was. They're all racist and they're all sexist. That's why they didn't watch it.
okay. Well, but and you're being sarcastic for what it's worth. If anybody didn't get that, that was sarcasm. But I also wanted to say it's the opposite could be true too. The Rings of Power is a show on Prime where the first season a lot of people were disappointed by. Probably the most expensive season of television ever done. People just were like, "This is terrible," and it suffered for it. Now the second season's premiere had about like half the audience of the first season's premiere, but they're doing a better job at the show this year, so the audience keeps going
Now,
up, and
instead
it's
of being
it's
a
the
gigantic
trend.
heaping pile of shit, it's like half a pile of shit. So, baby steps,
Yeah,
I guess. Maybe by the
it's
last episode of the show, it'll actually feel like Lord of the Rings, but I'm not holding my breath.
well. All I'm saying is, if you do a good job, then the people will, watch. Like
If you
Jay
build
Kelly
it, they
saying,
will
second
come.
season of Rings is way better. Agreed. And Temple saying, if Two Face gets the show after the second film, how y'all think would shorten his name? Let's see when that happens. I think if Two Face's name Harvey Dent. I mean, you don't need to shorten Harvey Dent.
Harv
We're gonna call
D.
him
His name's
Harv.
Harv D. Hey, Harv D.
uh,
Harv D's
yeah.
nuts.
Antonio making some good points in the chat about his favorite shows. I will say though, look, the point I was trying to make is, if the show continues to be good, the viewership will stay high. If the show starts to get to the point where it's hard to watch, then the viewership will drop. And that's really what these numbers ultimately tell us, is if the people are enjoying what they're seeing. And despite what some, artists or movie makers might tell you, ultimately we the people have the power to make these shows happen. Or like, if you don't support them, people are not going to put money behind these. So if you guys keep watching the show, then they will keep doing what they're doing, and ultimately, they'll have to earn our trust and our viewership each and every week. The next episode comes out September 29th, this Sunday now, at 9 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Pacific time. So we're going to be watching it, and then on Monday we're going to have a full review for episode 2. Angelina is going to hop on. She saw the premiere and was blown away by it. John, of course, you saw the premiere, and we're going to do a review of episode 2 of The Penguin on Monday. So be sure to bring your thoughts and feelings and reactions. But until then, you have the chance to go back and watch the first episode all over again. I saw it a second time, and yeah, to me it's just the first time I was just like eyes wide open. This is great, amazing, just blown
Eyes
away.
wide open.
Second time, I was able to sort of like digest a little bit more of what's going on, the nuances of it. And again, I'm amazed at just how clever the character of the Penguin, yet how flawed, and his moral compass is clearly twisted. But it's off to a great start, and like Jay Kelly said, to him it's already the GOAT of comic book shows. And
Oh,
you know what? It can earn that title over the course of the next 7 weeks, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that happens. So yeah, we'll be here covering the Penguin, and any news that comes out, I've got it all over my social media. So I'm sure we're going to talk about it more in the days to come.
all right.
With that said, John, there's another project right now that we'll be talking about for days to come.
Yes.
Right there, you see on your screen Robin Williams with Christopher Reeve, two people who have made such a huge impact on so many people's lives. Both of them are no longer with us, and we still
Yeah.
have a chance though to watch some of their iconic works that have become memories for all of us, core memories,
Yes.
including, of course, Superman. Because hey, Christopher Reeve, especially today, on his birthday, he's the man who made us believe that with Superman, a man could fly. And
Mm-hmm.
when he had that accident, when he was on a horse, and then just he was in a wheelchair like the rest of his life, and he was disabled in a way that it humbles you that this man, he's Superman. He's, for a lot of people, still the best Superman, the iconic, the quintessential Superman. And he was willing to be vulnerable and public with his disability, and use the platform that he had to promote research, and just for other people to feel a sense of hope that they can still continue on with their life. And he had such a loving family around him, his wife, his kids.
Oh yeah.
And he continued to be just a great ambassador for comic books, for DC Comics, for DC as a whole. On film and television, he was in Smallville. He was one of the biggest just supporters of people with disabilities, and just advancing the cause using the platform that he had. And now we finally get to see a little more insight into who Christopher Reeve the man was, because the title of the movie is Super slash Man, and I feel like a lot of people look at it as like, yes, he was Superman, but he was also just a man, somebody who was as
Yeah.
vulnerable as any of us. And he did a lot. He did a lot outside of when he was on a movie set, and we finally get to see a little bit more of that. Of course, today is Christopher Reeve's birthday. How amazing and just timely it is, and I'm sure that was not lost on James Gunn. There's a reason why they released this movie, and today is your last day to go check this documentary out in a movie theater
Yes.
near you. John, you are going to be doing exactly that and not too long from now. And James Gunn said, hey, quite the rarity. This movie this documentary has 100% score on both Rotten Tomatoes critic score as well as the audience rating. So both of them, it's so rare to see that. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts, and what are you most looking forward to when you go to see this movie in only a couple hours from now?
Um, gonna be bringing this with me because I know tears will be shed, and I'm not gonna emotionally recover from this. But yeah, it wouldn't be the first time I cried during a movie in theaters in 2024. Um, hopefully it'll be the last. I don't think maybe Wild Robot might make me cry. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna be a blubbering mess by the end of this, and I'm okay in admitting that because it's okay to cry, guys. It's okay. It's not okay. It's not the first time a DC documentary has made me cry, and maybe not the last. Maybe Legend of Kingdom Come will make me cry too. But yeah, I think this is just a very good and important story, very inspirational as attributing to Superman, but in a very different way. I really like that, and hopefully, it's not just a oh, this is gonna make you cry and that's it. It's gonna actually have like meat of like telling this man's story from a very um like very like poignant point of view. And yes, I agree, Antonio. Yes, he is a great actor. I'm gonna say like I will like okay, it's not a great movie, but he was great in it. It was one of the last movies before his accident that he did before his accident, which was Village of the Damned, the John Carpenter remake. Not a great movie. It's fun, but he was great in it. Like it's just like he just has this like great commanding presence. um Fuck you, I'll cry if I want to. All right, that's the one I was talking about. Oh my god, Batman and Bill. That movie, I would okay, if you want to have like a really good cry, you need to get your emotions out. Go on Hulu, watch Batman and Bill, because that fucking emotionally wrecked me to the absolute core. That it's kind of, well, it's a very different sort of way. It's like this is about, I guess like an aspect of someone like behind the scenes, I guess. This is about Christopher Reeve and his activism work, while Batman and Bill was like the quest, the mission to get Bill Finger's recognition, the recognition he deserves, and that sort of thing. And like the history in regards to the character, the history as a man. So like kind of has some overlapping aspects a little bit. But yeah, I might watch this and then I'll just be a blubbering mess. Maybe I'll rewatch Batman and Bill. It's Oh god, that movie. I think that movie has made me. I think Batman and Bill made me cry the most. I think I cried like 4 times during that movie. It was definitely emotionally wrecking, but you know what? It was very well done. It's probably one of my favorite movies, if I had to say. Again, not a big documentary guy, but you know what? It was very well done, and I liked how they told the story. It had like a lot of like animation aspects as well, and Mark
Mhm.
Tyler Nobleman. Love that guy. He was the guy who wanted to get the name of Bill Finger on Batman. So a lot of it different aspects. Batman and Bill, great documentary. Again, have Kleenex on standby, but great documentary. I can't wait to see this. This looks great, and I'm excited for what they will show us in regards to his legacy as
Yeah,
Reeve, not as Superman.
yeah, yeah. It's just, and this is something where they've given it a special release. It's gonna be in theaters for it's the last day for you to be able to go see it in a movie theater. But if you can't get to a theater near you or it's not playing in a movie theater near you, don't worry. The Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, it will be on Max streaming soon. So James Gunn has told us that we will get a chance to go see it in a movie theater today. If you got to see it over the weekend, and if you haven't, then we can just sit back and watch it on our television screen at
Mhm.
home, and hopefully we can do that in the coming days and weeks, whenever they release it. I don't believe they've given us an official release date for Max, but I'm sure that will be coming forth shortly. With that said, of course, it is also today Christopher Reeve's birthday. So please do go out there and send your birthday wishes to the Reeves family. I'm sure they will appreciate it. Just looking back fondly and remembering the memory of a great man, a better actor, and a perfect Superman. And that's all. If that's all you can say about somebody, then that's certainly what how I would want to be remembered. Kind of like the Penguin, and in his mind, Rex Calabrese. I think a lot of us can look
The
up to
Lion.
Christopher Reeve instead. But John, we do have to talk about the DCU, of course, as of course for DCU Daily. And while DC Studios are doing a great job with Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, James Gunn, he's currently busy, doing a lot of stuff with Peacemaker. Before I get to where James Gunn is at these days, I wanted to touch upon this because he shared it on his threads and how Peacemaker's Eagly is making an appearance in Mortal Kombat 1, the video game, and the artwork is simply amazing. If you've seen the show and you just see now you've got the helmet on, it's uber violent. But of course, if you're into the game and now you get to play with Eagly, or he's gonna be in the game. What do you think about this?
It's pretty awesome. Love Eagly. Definitely one of the best. That's just
one of the best parts
America.
of that show.
That is America in a nutshell. You just need to throw like a McDonald's burger in there, and then that's perfect. But yeah, that is fucking America, and we love it. But I think yeah, that's fucking awesome. Like I didn't love Peacemaker. I thought it was like a decent show. Like I give it like a 6.5 out of 10, 6 out of 10. Not amazing. It's fun, but not great. But Eagly was definitely one of the best parts. And yeah, even though you could tell like not a real bird, but it was still awesome.
It was definitely animated, but it was
I love like the points where it was like, I saw an eagle hug a man. I knew it was a sign. It wasn't a sign for you to like get the fuck out of here. She's like, man, fuck. Like that was pretty good. Like I saw an eagle hug a man. I was like, Dad, he's hugging me. He's hugging me.
And he just walks away. He's like, come on, Dad. That was such a good moment. I love it.
That was great. And love to see it. And I wouldn't say I'm excited for season 2, but I'm intrigued. I think I'm gonna have at least fun with it. Like it's enjoyable.
It's gonna be interesting. I want to see what the new intro is gonna look like. Are they sticking with the same song? Do you
no? He said the whole thing is gonna be different song, different intro.
Okay, well,
everything.
I mean, if they did the first one, I trust James Gunn. I'm sure they'll get John Cena to do some funny dance or whatever. Like maybe he'll just be doing his robot thing again.
James, you could tell James Gunn had a rough day. Like it was a tough day because he looks so.
He looks run down.
I want to fucking die right now. Which you know what? That's what's the like interesting thing about filmmaking. You have those days that are like really fun. You're doing a scene you like. It's like everything's go right, and then the next day could just like tear your soul into fucking 10-12 pieces, and you want to take a bath with a toaster. Like that's just like filmmaking as like a form of anything. Like that's just how it is sometimes. So it looks like he's very tie, but it's nice. He has Jennifer Holland to keep him company, his lovely wife. They just celebrated their anniversary, and she's also giving us a little bit of a taste, just like that position of her wonderful chest. It's just we appreciate that, Mrs. Holland. Dude, so
seriously, okay, he's literally in the picture. Like you gotta like stop
you know what?
If
you zoom in, you could just like
okay, fine. That's not the reason why I shared the picture. Of course, it is. No. You could tell James Gunn is tired. Of course, Jennifer Holland and James Gunn they tied the knot 2 years ago, and I believe the anniversary was yesterday. So this is when he posted that picture, but also the same day he posted pictures from their wedding. What a cute wedding they had. Of course, the two of them are happily married. And they love to share their
I like the Funko Pops,
the good and the bad, and the ugly of the relationship online, because you can imagine they're both busy people with schedules that tie them up for long days, weeks, and months at a time. And it's just fun to see, like, when he's like saying like, we fight this fight together, my lover, my friend and teammate. So, and I don't know what life would be like without you, and luckily I don't have to. I love you now and forever, Jennifer Holland. That's if you have a girlfriend, if you have a partner, that's, I think, those words go a long way towards expressing how you feel about
Oh,
them. And I'm
anybody,
glad that
not just the
James Gunn and
lady, not
Jennifer
just the
Holland
man,
have that.
anything in between. Yeah.
Anybody in between, whoever you love, hold them close, because you never know what
I don't have
tomorrow will
anybody I
bring.
love. I hate everybody. So
John, you have us. We love you on this channel. You
sure.
have Lenny, you have Temple, you have Jay, you have, even though Jay might tell you to not cry sometimes, you have Antonio
I'm just
Baker, you
kidding. I
have
do love you guys very
Fiona,
much. I
Lex.
love you
Yeah,
guys, but outside of that, fuck,
yeah,
fuck everybody else.
great, great. Cool. Well, with that kind of attitude, let's get into talking about Lady Gaga and Joker Folie à Deux, John.
Perfect
So
segue.
perfect segue, because that's what this movie is gonna be like. It's gonna be all about the madness of two, the folie à deux. There's a new music video for shot in the Louvre that Lady Gaga put out there. And essentially, you know, a new album. She's putting out a whole big ass new album, HARLEQUIN. It's a companion album to the Joker movie, Joker Folie à Deux. What are your thoughts on this? To me, this was, when I looked at it, I mean, obviously you're surprised that this is being put out now because they haven't really done any marketing. She put out a few cryptic messages, but people were like, "Oh, there's some new titles to songs." But what does that mean? Now we know that this Harley Quinn album is going to be a companion album to the movie Joker Folie à Deux, and I'm excited as a Lady Gaga fan myself. We speculated months ago, like, what are the songs that are going to be on the soundtrack for this movie, and I wonder if any of these songs will make it into the film. What are your thoughts on, again, the artwork here, of course, the video that she put out where she's in the Louvre in Paris, and what are your thoughts on just, again, some new music from one of the biggest pop stars in the world, who's gonna hopefully give a good push to this movie, her stardom and her fans that hopefully will show up and
Yeah.
support the film.
I mean, I'm not a big Lady Gaga fan. Like, I respect her as an artist. Like, she's extremely talented. It's just like that's just not my type of music. Um, but she's incredibly talented, and I'm happy that like her fans are getting something, and this will definitely, hopefully, add into like, hopefully, making Joker Folie à Deux like something more than just like a cash grab sequel, I guess. Like, it's gonna have something, have something more, have something, to really bite into. And I feel like this kind of weirdly adds to it in a way. I don't know if that may sound weird. I know it's kind of just probably like, oh hey, I'm making this album just to cash in on this movie. But I don't know, it just feels like I feel like it might be a good marketing thing that's like, hey, for all the people that are going to listen to this and might not be aware of this movie, because I don't want to make broad strokes or generalizations, but I will throw it out there that I assume more than likely the people that are Lady Gaga fans are probably not big comic book fans. Now, I know I'm not going to say every person who's a Lady Gaga fan, oh, they don't know anything. I'm just saying, like, most of them are like, just probably are not aware of that. They're mostly into like, like that side of music, and that's not really like concurrent with like comic book stuff. But I do hope that maybe they'll see this, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm such a huge fan of Lady Gaga that fuck it, I'll go see this movie." And then maybe they'll become so entranced that they will become huge comic book fans, become huge comic book movie fans, and all that. But I feel like more often than not, that's probably not the case of like the initial sort of like fan of Lady Gaga. More often than not, probably not know about comic book stuff or interested in this sort of thing. So obviously, we'll see. Hopefully, because it just like the more I see of this movie, um the more interested I am in it, because it's like it feels like, now I hate to like overhype myself, because when I usually overhype myself, I end up not liking the thing that I'm overhyping about. But it just, for me, when it comes to Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker, and specifically Joker Folie à Deux, I feel like this is going to be the most Jokery Joker we have ever gotten. like through the like mainly the dream sequences and the musical numbers and all that. So I feel like that'll be the case here because it's like out of all like the dream sequence aspects, like that feels very Joker to me, you know? Like I know I joked like earlier on like the most Joker thing we've ever seen on film is him taking the oversized gavel and fucking hitting the judge with it. I'm like that's so that is like something straight out of the animated series. Like I swear, like that is like so Joker. And I'm like, you know what? Like stuff like that is like, I feel like Todd Phillips was like, okay, because he even admitted this. He even said, like, I wanted to make like this deep character study, but like everything was an IP. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll make this deep character study an IP. And now that he's really going into it and really getting into the world and like ultimately kind of being forced to do a sequel because it was like, I bet Warner Brothers was like, this movie made $1 billion. We're going to make a sequel with or without you. So I was like, you know what? Let me come back and do this. So um, I think he's really doubling down on like the insane
Yeah,
aspects that were not really present in the first movie, but like more so attributing to the Joker character. I hope that's if that's not the case, then I'm just hoping for a great experience. That's all. Like, but
yeah,
I think seeing the trailers, seeing like the overall vibe it's giving off, I think we're still gonna be getting like the deeper character stuff in in like with like real world stuff, but then we're gonna get like the insane sort of like mind of this version of the Joker, and it's just like I don't know. I'm really intrigued with that. I'm really curious how that's gonna play out. I hope it's more of that those weirder, insane aspects, and I hope whatever the ending is, it'll stay here. No, like I almost kind of want. I want this. I like a weird part of me almost wants this movie to fail so that we don't get another sequel. Like I don't want to
I
have
look.
another sequel. I know that sounds
Yeah,
terrible because I want like most of me is like I want this to be good because it looks really good and all that, but like at the same time I'm like I kind of don't so that we don't get a Joker 3 cuz Todd Phillips he said initially he's like this is not going to have a sequel and it got a sequel and now he's saying it's not going to be a trilogy. It's not going to be Joker 3. But now, if this does really well, then we might be getting a Joker 3. I hope that's not the case. I hope maybe James Gunn, since this is now technically under DC Studios, James Gunn and Peter Safran will be like, let just Todd Phillips have his duology, and that's it. I hope that's the case. I'm really intrigued
yeah.
with this and I'm really excited for this. So yeah. I hope like I have like two parts of me that's like I really want this to be good and really want this to succeed, but at the same time kind of don't want it to succeed so it doesn't get another fucking 17 sequels.
Yeah, by the way, but while you were getting into your deep thoughts about the Joker, it's interesting that well, the chat has completely moved on to the idea of a Discord server. But JB has a good question of anybody else
No.
thinking that
I
Harley's
can
a
confirm no because they already did that with Zazie Beetz' character in the first movie, and I don't think Todd Phillips was going to do that again because that would be way too repetitive.
it,
So
yeah.
I don't think that's the case.
Yeah. It is fun though because like they're in the movie her character's called Lee Quinzel. It's not Harleen or Harley. It's Lee Quinzel. That's how they're
Well, I
showing
mean,
her
she's called
in
Harley in the
the
movie because during one of the dream
yeah.
sequences where they're on like the Murray Franklin set, it does say
Oh,
Joker and Harley. So she might like her like pre like
I
falling in love
see.
with Joker self is called Lee, but then
Okay. Then
then
she
when she meets Joker, she goes by Harley.
okay. Yeah.
Kind of like how like because nobody really because I'll give them that like the name Harleen is a bit of a weird name. I don't is that even a real name? Like I don't know if Paul
No, it
Dini just
is.
invented
It's
that.
just not a very common name
It's not
today.
very
That's
common, but Lee is common. So like they probably just okay, she's um they called her Lee because Harleen is a little bit weird. So Lee Quinn, boom, there you go. And then when they, when the Joker, when she like falls in love with him and all that shit, she'll be Harley Harlequin.
Yeah.
Boom. There you go.
Exactly.
So calm down, people. Calm down, Zachary. All right.
By
You
the
know who
way,
you are.
you guys all, it seems like you guys want a Discord server. Fiona says, John, you should moderate it. We could definitely get into that. If you guys want a Discord server for DCU Daily, let us know in the live chat. We have a poll going so that, if you get a good response, then we'll give that a shot. I think it would be fun. It might tie up a lot of our time. JB is like, it's because they already did that with Zazie Beats. Exactly. That's what you said, John. They likely wouldn't do the same thing with. But then he's like, maybe I'm not giving Todd Phillips enough credit. Well, I guess we'll find out soon enough, right? What else do we have? We have Cell CM in the chat asking about potentially maybe we don't get a Joker 3. Maybe instead we just go for a Harley Quinn spinoff, like a Lee Quinn or Lady Gaga in a solo movie. And of course Temple, let's get that Two-Face movie, people. I'm sure we will. In the Batman universe, maybe. As far as where this movie stands, talking about Todd Phillips, talking about Lady Gaga, and of course Joaquin Phoenix, they recently they've been doing like a promotional tour for this movie, right? So most recently they've been in London on the red carpet. So there you go. There's the Joaquin Phoenix on the left. You got Lady Gaga in the middle, and of course you've got not Joaquin Phoenix. You've got Todd Phillips on the far right at the premiere in London. I don't recognize the gentleman down there in the
He's the
red
guy who
tux.
played Gary in the first movie. He's coming up
Ah,
again. But he
okay,
was the guy that let him go
okay,
after he killed the fat guy that was gonna kill him. So yeah, he let him go,
gotcha.
and now it's gonna
Yeah.
bite him in the ass.
Seems like it is. But yeah, I mean, hey, they're at the premiere. They're promoting the heck out of this movie. We've got a new album from Lady Gaga, one of the biggest artists in the world. She performed at the Olympics this year. I just think this is just good. It bodes well for DC as a brand because this movie has gotten the prestige tour from Venice all the way to every other city that they've been in. Recently, they were celebrating Batman Day in Italy with like a whole display of the Robert Pattinson Batman suit and the projections on buildings and stuff. And of course, they're bringing this movie out all across the world, and Lady Gaga is front and center. So, regardless of whether you're going to be watching this movie for Joaquin Phoenix's Joker and how Arthur Fleck evolves as a character, or if you're there to watch how Lady Gaga figures into the situation with whether she's Lee Quinzel or Harley Quinzel. HARLEQUIN. That's the news today. HARLEQUIN is the newest album. It's Lady Gaga's 7th studio album, and her fans have been waiting for this for a long time. She's been dropping hints, and now we finally have it. If you guys go to Lady Gaga's Instagram, this is what Fiona sent to me earlier, so that's how I heard about this. She put out a music video. It's shot at the Louvre, and the song, it has a ring to it. I enjoyed it. I probably have to listen to it a couple more times before I can truly be like, yeah, this is my jam. But guys, let us know if you're excited about Joker Fall You Do. Of course, as always, we love having you guys in the chat. Temple asking what's the box office prediction for Joker 2. He's saying hit 600 million for him. I would say 600 million is a good number. And it could go higher than that depending on how good it is and how the people like it. The first movie wasn't loved by critics, but people loved it to the tune of $1 billion. The second one, I don't think is going to be that big, but it could be. The first one nobody saw coming, so maybe the same will happen here. Celsium asking, did you react to the HARLEQUIN the Joker preview video? We have been seeing a bunch of featurettes and behind the scenes from this movie. We haven't really dove into it too much, but we will bring it to the show later this week as we get closer to the movie. So good shout there from Celsium. We will get into that, of course. And thank you. Of course, you're saying y'all so chill, heart shape emoji. I love it. Thank you. We do try. Our goal is to be here to provide a place where we can all have a good conversation, enjoy what we love, which is DC and all things DC Comics, DC Studios, the new DCU, Elseworlds, everything DC. We're here for it. So yeah, and the Discord server would be fun, Temple. I think it looks like a lot of you guys are saying yes, no. So I think that bodes well. We will definitely look into that. And thank you, of course, Temple. You're saying you love the show. We love you, and we love that you guys are here. And I'm looking forward to all of these projects, whether it's episode 2 of The Penguin coming out this Sunday, whether it is Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. You can go watch it in a movie theater near you. Like John is about to go in like half an hour.
I wanted to include this because it's like
Yeah.
Alan Moore is pissed off. Yeah. Meanwhile, fire is hot. When is Alan Moore not pissed off?
Exactly.
Like, I just wanted to include that because it's just like it's
Yeah.
just funny to me. Anyway,
Exactly.
sorry. Continue.
Yeah. And then tomorrow on the show we're going to be talking about Pete Holmes' comments on the idea of a proper DC sanctioned Batman movie, because of course Pete Holmes would love to play every skit that he has ever done as Batman and do it in an official DC movie. I think it would be fun because that Lego Batman movie was hilarious, and I would love to see Pete Holmes do his voice. I prefer Jared Leto. Yes, you're like Nirvana because you're dead to me or something. I don't know. That's not what he said. That wasn't the line. But I love
you're
backhand
like Cobain because you're dead.
because you're dead to me. That's exactly what it was. So we're gonna dive into that tomorrow. So join us for that on DCU Daily, and then of course on Friday we're going to be back. Angelina and John will be on this Friday, and John, you're gonna be reviewing Superman: The Christopher Reeve Story. Any news that breaks from the world of the DCU, whether it's James Gunn announcing something new, or if you get a new trailer, a new inside look at Joker Folie à Deux, or of course if you get some more insights into the Penguin episode 2. Episode 2, speaking of Folie à Deux, we're going to get into all of that. So join us back here tomorrow on DC Daily, and join us back here on Friday for more from the world of DC. Until then, as always, if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so you know when we are live. Thank you for joining us for an early showing of DC Daily today, because John has now got to drive out to his showing of Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, and you should get on and do that too if you can, and it's in a movie theater near you. We'll see you tomorrow, another episode of DCU Daily.